You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, Mo Kelly, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. We want to make sure always that you are best informed as we navigate through these both natural disasters and also man-made disasters. We have more and more reports of attempts of arson coming in. You heard Mark Ronner discuss the one person who's been arrested in regard to the Kenneth fire, and that is an open investigation as to whether that was arson. So this is a very fluid situation, as they say, and we want to make sure you have the best information to not only protect yourself, but also protect your family and make sure they are safe. And I'm quite sure there are people who are listening who may not be directly affected. If so, God bless you. Maybe you are of the opinion you want to help someone where you are. God bless you. And we're going to give you some information right now how you can do that, but also want to open up the phones. The reason is I want to hear from you. A lot has transpired since we last talked on the phone when all these fires started. And I want to hear what has been happening in your lives, what you've seen, what you've experienced. If you can see the fires, if you have been displaced by the fires, you've been in one of the evacuation zones, definitely want to hear from you at 800-520-1KFI, 800-520-1534. If you are with your family and you don't know where you can go, if you're looking for a place to go and you want information, give us a call at 800-520-1KFI, 800-520-1534. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear what is going on with you. If you're okay, if there's help that you need, if you're unsure of where to take your pets or what is going to be happening in the next 48 hours and you just needed someone to talk to, give us a call at 800-520-1KFI, 800-520-1534. And as I was saying, I know there's someone listening who just wants to help right where they are. Well, there are places that you can donate not only money, but supplies, clothes, and so forth. You can donate to the Red Cross. The American Red Cross is on the ground supporting residents, and the Red Cross is working to provide safe shelter, food, emotional support, and health services to support Red Cross disaster relief with a donation. You can visit redcross.org, or you can call 800-RED-CROSS, or you can text the word Red Cross to 90999 and make a $10 donation. You can donate to the United Way of Greater Los Angeles, which focuses on longer-term recovery efforts to support members of the community. And the group said it is working with community partners to assess the impact on the ground in the LA area. You can donate to support United Way's efforts there at United Way of Greater Los Angeles. I'm sorry, it does not list the website, but I know you can find it. You can donate to Emergency Network of Los Angeles, and it provides assistance to people affected by disasters. ENLA is a legally registered 501c3 funded by grants, member dues, and donations. You can give to the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank, and they are working with government agencies, nonprofit, and faith-based partners and others to respond to the fires throughout LA County. They are accepting food donations between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. at its two distribution centers, again, between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. at 1734 East 41st Street in LA and 2300 Pellisier, Pellisier Place in Industry, California. And the food bank is also accepting volunteers. If you'd like to volunteer, you can reach out to the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank. And if you're just tuning in, we open up the phones. We'd like to hear from you. If you have eyes on the ground in one of these impacted zones, be it close to Pacific Palisades, or maybe you lived in Pasadena or Altadena, you maybe live in Santa Monica and can see the flames, we definitely want to hear from you. You can give us a call at 800-520-1KFI, 800-520-1534. And also, we talked about this press conference earlier today where there was a lot of good information for people who may be in need. And we heard from FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell as well. And here's what she had to say.
First, I would just like to start by saying on behalf of President Biden, Vice President Harris, and the entire Biden-Harris administration, our hearts go out to everybody who has been impacted by this truly tragic event. And I think as you heard Mayor Bass lay out her really aggressive vision for how you're going to rebuild, I just want you to know, Mayor, that we are going to be here with you, along the way to help you rebuild in a way that makes you stronger and more resilient. As the firefighters continue to bring in resources and support the suppression efforts for these fires, with the major disaster declaration, we now have the ability to begin having those conversations about recovery, as well as help the individuals who have lost everything on jumpstart their road to recovery. If you live in Los Angeles County and you have been impacted by this disaster, you can register for FEMA assistance. You can go to disasterassistance.gov. That's the best way to get into our system and start that process. You should also contact your insurance company because we will need that information as well as we start to work with you on your claim. Some of the things that you're going to be eligible for: if you incurred costs for temporary lodging as you evacuated, if you're going to need longer term lodging because you're displaced from your home for a period of time, if you need repairs to your home, we have some financial assistance that can help there. If you lost other things like a vehicle, we have some financial assistance. We know that everybody's situation is going to be different for each person. It's going to be unique to them. We want to be able to work with each of you individually to help you on that road to recovery, help you get to the right resources, whether it's FEMA resources, complementing what your insurance company may provide, or bringing in our nonprofit partners to help make sure that we have a holistic recovery for everybody that's been impacted. But we'll also work with you, Mayor, for things like temporary schools, temporary road repair if you need that, all these temporary measures that are going to be needed to help stabilize the community as you start to rebuild, and especially with the debris removal. And as President Biden announced, we're going to cover that debris removal and all of your emergency protective measures at 100% for 180 days, because we know it's going to take a long time to get that debris removal out. I think what I'll just say in closing here is we know that recovery is complicated, and for something as catastrophic as what I have seen so far here across Los Angeles, we know that this recovery is going to be complicated. But it is doable when we all come together with the city, the state, the federal government, our nonprofit partners. When we work together, as you can see behind us here, anything is possible, and we will help you rebuild in a way that makes you stronger, Mayor.
And of course, if you missed any of this information, it will be on our website in the podcast at KFIAM640.com or wherever you download the podcast for Later with Mo Kelly. So don't forget that there's another resource just in case you missed some of this or couldn't remember, you couldn't write it down. We'll have it for you. And also, once again, our phones are open at 800-520-1534. I would like to hear from you, how you are navigating this process, some of the obstacles that you may have encountered through evacuation, trying to find shelter, maybe trying to find placement for pets or large animals. If you're unsure about that, please reach out to us now. And I want to hear how you're feeling, how you're doing. A lot has transpired in Southern California over the past 48 to 72 hours. You heard my previous conversation with Darren, who is a Los Angeles firefighter, did not give all of his information because he wasn't supposed to be talking to us, but it was important to hear what he had to say about what was happening on the ground and some of the difficulties that firefighters were encountering, emotional to the logistics of the job. And it was good to hear that, to hear from someone who's from the Altadena community and having to deal with the devastation of his own community where he was from. And I know that he's not the only one who is going through it emotionally, as all of us are as well. So give us a call at 800-520-1534, 800-520-1534. But before we go to break, I also wanted you to hear from John O'Brien, who's the Chief Deputy of Emergency Operations, from the press conference earlier today.
Tonight, I'll start by giving an update on the Eaton fire affecting the communities of Altadena, Pasadena, Sierra Madre, Arcadia, and Monrovia. The Los Angeles County Fire Department remains in unified command with Pasadena Fire, Sierra Madre Fire, Arcadia Fire, United States Forest Service, and CAL FIRE, as well as the Sheriff's Department and our local law enforcement agencies. The Eaton fire is now over 13,609 acres and still remains 0% contained. We have 1,527 firefighting personnel assigned and mutual aid resources from across the state and nation arriving to assist with this fire. We have had several firefighter injuries reported and estimate that over 5,000 structures have been destroyed. This is based on aerial imagery that's been provided. We expect those numbers can change, either go up or down based on additional mapping of the fire, as well as when our damage inspection teams get out there and complete their thorough damage assessment of the burn area. We also had one firefighter injured today who sustained injuries battling the fire and is currently at a local area hospital. The cause of the fire is unknown and remains under investigation. As soon as the cause is determined, we'll be sure to get that information out to all. As Supervisor Horvath and Chief Crowley mentioned, the Kenneth fire started just after 2:30 p.m. today in West Hills and has grown over 800 acres in that short period of time. We have a significant augmentation of ground and air resources assigned, with evacuations currently in the communities of West Hills, Hidden Hills, and Calabasas. Additional information will be provided as this incident develops, but I encourage all to be vigilant and visit lacounty.gov/emergency for the latest incident information. The number of resources assigned to this fire siege event has increased significantly, and we are in a much better position than we were earlier in the week. Out-of-state resources continue to arrive in Los Angeles County, and we are appreciative of our fire partners from throughout the western United States for providing assistance to Los Angeles County in our time of need. Regarding the current red flag warning, the National Weather Service predicts the warning will remain in effect for Los Angeles County and the majority of Ventura County through Friday, with another likely event impacting both counties earlier next week. I encourage all residents and communities to remain vigilant as we weather this fire siege together. And again, visit lacounty.gov/emergency for the latest information on all incidents. And lastly, I want to acknowledge the tireless efforts of my Los Angeles County Fire Department personnel and all the firefighters who are here assisting, both on the lines and those behind the scenes who continuously place themselves in harm's way to protect the residents and property of this great county. Thank you for always being there and continuing to be a safe and take care of yourself. Those around you and the people who need us most.
That was John O'Brien, Chief Deputy of Emergency Operations for LA County. And we've opened up the phone lines. When we come back, we'll take your calls. We want to hear from you, what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, some of your needs, some of what you've seen, just driving around the city, the fires you may have seen, if you've been evacuated, if you have a story to tell, if you have concerns to share. We want to hear them at 800-520-1KFI, 800-520-1534.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I was talking to Tawala. He was telling me about his day, and if you just being unsure as far as the status of his house, what might lie ahead for him and his family. And I know his concerns are no different than your concerns, because these fires have impacted all of us. Maybe not all of us directly, but maybe only 1 degree of separation. You know someone who's been evacuated. You know someone, maybe they haven't told you yet, but there's someone you know who lost their home, who won't have a home to go back to.
My co-parent works at a school in Pacific Palisades, and she has spent the last 2 days calling parents to provide comfort and solace and reach out to just let them know that as a community that they are there. And she's got a list of some 30 families who have literally lost everything, made it out of their houses with just the clothes on their back. And it's this misconception about the the Palisades, where it's just wealthy people living there who've got money to burn, and it just whatever, the rich people. It couldn't be further from the truth. These are people who, a lot of families who've been there forever before it became this wealthy, rich area. And even though there are some families who have wealth, it doesn't matter when you lose everything. You lose everything in one fell swoop in one day. You don't have, I'll just go buy another house, tomorrow money. You just don't. It's not that type of community. And that's what something I keep hearing these people say, it's just the rich people and it's eat the rich, stuff like that. And I'm like, that is a problem that we are trying to assign wealth to whether or not we should care. About people. I'm like, that's the weirdest thing to me. I'm like, these are people who, no matter what, lost everything, home, every belonging they've had. These are individuals with children, small children, who've lost their lives. I mean, this is going to scar them for life. These are people, some people who've said, we will not be coming back to this area at all. We will not be coming back. We can't be in this area anymore because it was such a horrifying experience. And so it's when you see how vast this fire is and how much area we're covering now in Calabasas, it seems to be everywhere, and everywhere they're popping up. I don't care how they're popping up. We have to make sure that we keep our heart front and center when we are talking about these things, not here on the radio and even sometimes here on the radio, but amongst each other. This is a human issue.
We've opened up the phones. Give us a call at 800-520-1534. We want to hear your stories, your experiences, things that you've seen, things that you smelled, just driving through the city, smelling the smoke, seeing the ash. Sometimes we talked about this. It can cause some PTSD. There are people, if you've lived in California long enough, this is probably not the first the first fire that you have dealt with living in Southern California. So let's go to the phones right now. Let's talk to John in Orange County. John, how are you tonight, all things considered?
Doing pretty well myself personally, and fortunately my family's all in clear of all the problems up there.
But we all know that could change very, very quickly.
I totally agree, especially with the information that the winds are supposed to be blowing south tomorrow. So you never can tell what's going on. But my question and reason I called is, everybody's talking about Newsom and Bass. How many cities, incorporated cities, are actually involved? Is it just L.A.?
No, it isn't.
Or is it other cities? What about their mayors and stuff? Can't they? What are we hearing from them?
Well,
because Bass has already screwed things up.
I am with you on the civics lesson. A lot of people don't know that Mayor Karen Bass is only the mayor of Los Angeles. And when we talk about these other cities like Pasadena and Altadena and these unincorporated areas of L.A., we're not talking about Karen Bass. And that's why we've had on, for example, Lindsay Horvath, LA County Board of Supervisors, who has those responsibilities. And for me, and you got me on a rant now, John, that's part of the reason why I try not to get into the blame and the political aspect of it, because I want people to stay focused on who is the person is going to help us, who is the person responsible for the services which are going to be provided, be it FEMA, be it more local, LA County Board of Supervisors. Who is that person who is responsible for allocating resources? That for me is more important.
Well, that's saying years ago, I used to work up at LA County Sheriff's Communications Center. And whenever we had that earthquake during that period of time, it was understood that the sheriff was a senior elected person in the county. I don't think I've heard too much from the sheriff.
Well, we did play some audio from Sheriff Robert Luna earlier today. He was talking about the curfews, which have now since been implemented in
I heard that.
The various evacuation zones. He did give the admonition as far as looters and would-be arsonists to stay out of the evacuation zones. He has had a presence. I'm just saying as a matter of record.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all the broadcasts you and all the others have been doing and the time you're putting in there. to try and keep the community aware of what's going on. And the area up there and all the people are in our prayers. So I wish you a great evening.
John, thank you so much. And all we can do is do what we can with what we have right where we are. And hopefully we as a community will be better for it come tomorrow, because we have to go through all this together. Let's get in another call before we go to break. Let's talk to Sean in Santa Clarita. Sean, how was your evening, all things considered?
Well, all things considered, all right. But early this morning, I received a batch of 4 evacuation notices, but there are all sorts of names of streets like Zelza and Balboa, which weren't here in Santa Clarita. So I called 911, and the operator said it was a complete waste. Forget about it. Don't pay any attention to it. Then I got another 2 evacuation notices. 911 again and said, nope, makes no difference. Then I got another 2, followed by something similar to what you got about the Kenneth fire, saying, pay no attention. These evacuation notices have to do with the Kenneth fire. So I just want to let you know that you were not alone in getting all sorts of strange evacuation notices.
I'm glad. Thank you for that. And it confirms what I suspected, but it also reminds us how important correct information is, because if we are confused by it, we maybe unwittingly just tune them out and not pay attention to the real notice, the real information. When there's real danger, almost like the Chicken Little story, the sky is falling. You keep getting these notices and you're not sure which one to follow. It gets very confusing. And then if there's actual danger approaching, you don't know what to do. But thank you for letting me know.
That's why I thought I'd go to the authority and say, what's going on here?
Now, I
knew that 911 would know.
I haven't seen an evacuation notice for Santa Clarita specifically.
No, not at all.
Mark Runner, I'm going to jump in. I'm asking my newsman, have you, to the best of your knowledge, seen anything for Santa Clarita?
I have not. Let's see here. No, I'm not seeing anything, but I'll keep my eyes open.
Okay, so if anything, we just wanted to be able to confirm your suspicions that we don't have any information supporting that.
Right. The streets that were indicated, like Zelza and Balboa and others, were no longer. They're not in Santa Clarita. They're in Sylmar.
Mm-hmm.
So it made no sense that I would be getting this evacuation notice. That's why I called 911 to find out if it was right.
But only thing I would recommend is, in the future, I would not call 911 because that takes away from emergency resources. I would recommend that there are probably online resources that you would be able to use. Heck, you could even go to KFIM640.com. We probably have a listing there of all the evacuation areas, and then you can find that information. But now I'm glad we've cleared that up. But that's the only thing I would recommend against.
You certainly couldn't go to the Sears catalog, could you?
No, you can't do that. Part of a bygone era. But I remember it well. Sean?
Okay, let me interrupt here.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm looking right now at the website for fire.ca.gov, and I'm not seeing any evacuation orders for that area at all. That's the Hearst fire, by the way. And it is now 771 acres, and they've got it 37% contained. So no evacuation orders.
There we go, Sean.
Thank you.
Have a great evening, sir.
Have a good day.
It's Mo Kelly. We will have more of your calls, and if you don't know, we're taking your calls right now at 800-520-1KFI, 800-520-1534. We want to hear about your experiences, what you've seen today, maybe some things that you're unsure of or unclear on. Maybe you're looking for certain services where you can get help or assistance. Maybe you want to be the helper and the person who provides assistance, and you're not exactly sure how to do that. That's why we're here right now. So give us a call at 800-520-1KFI, 800-520-1534. Scott in Costa Mesa, keep on hanging on the line. We'll be with you next, and keep it right here. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. And we had opened up the phones at 800-520-1534 to hear from you. Talk to us about what you've seen over the course of the day, what you've experienced over the course of the day, or even the past few days. If you happen to be an evacuee, we want to hear your story. 800-520-1534. Maybe you lost your house, unfortunately. Talk to us about some of the decisions that you're going to have to make in the coming hours and days, how you plan to go about it. 800-520-1534. And we definitely want to give you some information on how you can get some assistance. If you need shelter assistance, people can call 211 for shelter, social, and health service information. For food assistance, the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is working with its network of more than 600 partner agencies to assess needs and also help assist people. There's Blaze Pizza in Glendale, free 11-inch pizzas in 4-cheese, pepperoni, red vine, and herbivore, located at 3210 Glendale Galleria. These restaurants are offering free meals to evacuees and first responders. Crustacean, interestingly enough, in Beverly Hills. D-Town Pizzeria, which is 8424 Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood. Again, these restaurants are offering free meals for evacuees and first responders. There's Dudley Market, 9 Dudley Avenue in Venice. Fiorelli Pizza at 1039 Abbott Kinney Boulevard in Venice. There's Norms. You have to check participating locations. There's Sora Craft Kitchen at 1109 East 12th Street in Los Angeles. Sunday Gravy, 1122 Centinela Avenue in Inglewood. And Yeasty Boys, they have multiple locations. And we'll come back to this list in just a moment. Let's go to the phones. Scott in Costa Mesa, thank you for holding. Tell us, what have you been seeing and what have you experienced today in the past few days?
Well, my heart aches for all those victims, like everybody else, just so sending just tons of love. But, this is picking at a scar of mine that I'm revisiting the emotions of the OC firestorm in Laguna Beach.
Right.
And I just want to talk about like the 180 days of 100% coverage from the government. That's going to go so fast. Time is going to go flying by. And I just urge anybody who has been a victim to get on it, to be, is it FEMA?
It's FEMA. Yeah, to clarify, you have 180 days to contact FEMA and start that process. But go ahead, Scott.
Well, now I'm wondering, because I'm in Costa Mesa, and just driving down Coast Highway after the fires in Laguna, it was decades later that there were still just empty foundations, and people that just can't redo what was lost. And so I'm curious to know of this 180 days. It sounded like it's just debris removal. Is it more than that? Actually rebuilding? I wonder what really the details are. And I just...
No, that's a great question. And for those who don't know, the federal government has pledged to match 100% of the cost to rebuild the Los Angeles, Southern California area. And Scott's question is, well, is that rebuilding people's houses? What's it going to do for businesses? Are we just talking about the city's infrastructure? Yes, those devils will have to be in the details. And I can't tell you specifically because those details have not been laid out. The only thing that we know is that the federal government has pledged 100% match, which has not happened before. In that regard, is positive, but we don't know. Put it this way, I don't believe it's going to be everyone's going to have their house rebuilt as it was prior to this tragedy. I don't think it's that.
Well, just my love to just everyone, and just that let's all just sort of put the crap of what we were before aside, and let's be together on more than just recovery, that we are all just human and just love each other. That's all.
Hey, Scott, from your lips to God's ears, I want to thank you for calling in tonight. Let's talk to Rita in Los Angeles. Rita, how are you doing tonight? As I say to everyone, all things considered.
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing well, thankfully. But what I wanted to share is I was very surprised this happened to me. I was leaving out of downtown LA last night, way over there. First of all, my car was covered with debris all over it, which looked like ash all the way over there. And secondly, as I'm coming down one of the main drags, I think it was either Wilshire or 3rd Street, heading towards Beverly Hills, I couldn't believe that the Pacific Palisades issue was so enormous that it was like a big a tornado cloud, huge and black, going what appeared to be all the way to the ground and going way up into the sky. I could see it all the way from coming out of downtown LA. And then thirdly, as I'm heading towards Beverly Hills too yesterday, I came across the new independent fire at the Hollywood Hills. As I was crossing the other streets that cut across, it was like it was right there. I could see it, and I filmed it on my phone, right on the hill, very bright and orange.
I know what you mean. I was coming in a different direction. For example, when I was going home last night, I'm going down to 134 and getting closer to downtown. You can see the fire in the Hollywood Hills, and I hit the 110 going south, and I look to my right, looking westward, and I can see, even in the middle of the night, the fire still burning in the Pacific Palisades. It's just like ring of fire all around this area. And it is really disconcerting when you think about the number of lives that it has impacted, the number of homes and structures which have been destroyed. And even though I personally directly have not been impacted yet, and I say that, thank you, Jesus, I know that a lot of lives have been changed forever for all of this. And I know exactly what you mean. Just the sight of it all can be overwhelming. Rita, you there? Did we lose you?
Yes, I'm sorry. I listened to everything you said. But the thing that surprised me the most was how far away I was and how it was so enormous. It looked like it was just a few blocks in front of me.
I will say this, when you're looking at it on TV, it doesn't provide the same perspective as when you're driving or when you're seeing it up close. You may see it on TV from a helicopter view, or you may see a news person standing on a particular street, but you don't get a real sense of how extensive the number of these fires are, how many they are, how expansive they are, until you see it for yourself in person as you're driving around town, as you're looking into the hills, and you can see it, just like the Hollywood Hills fire, the Sunset fire, how it was just lighting up the night sky. You don't really get it until you get out there and see it for yourself.
So true, yes.
Rita, I want to thank you for calling in tonight, and please be safe out there.
Will do, and same with you and yours.
Thank you.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Let's talk to Linda in Calabasas. Linda, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm getting a lot of alerts at the same time I'm speaking with you, so you'll have to pardon me for that. I have 2 locations in Calabasas, and unfortunately, one of them is being manned because we had looters coming through last night. So that's kind of a problem. The other location, they've just sent us information that the power's back and it's a mandatory evacuation. That one is the Kenneth fire. The first one's the Palisades fire, which is also has reached almost to Calabasas. And that one was where the looters came through last night. But the police were able to catch them, and they have police manned at stations. Good. In that area now. But the other location is the Kenneth fire, which started earlier today, started at the Victory Trail, which is like Victory and Valley Circle. And anyway, that one fire was burning almost directly to my house. mandatory evacuation. Power's been out for 3 days, and there's been no even SOS on your phone. There's no 911 calls, no services whatsoever, no internet, nothing. And then they just said, oh, you can return. Everything is fine. I just returned, and there's still no power. So the power company, Edison, the police department, and the fire department they don't know what each other is doing. Unfortunately, the night before last, I went to a certain location. I don't want to give street names, but I get to a certain location I couldn't get through, and I asked the police what's going on. They said, we have eyes on a fire up here. I said, I just left the fire department, and they said that there was no fire. They said, we have eyes on it. So I went back to the fire department, and I said, the police are saying that you can't go through there. There's eyes on the fire. And they said, we don't know about it. And this is the fire department is less than a mile away from where the police were stopping people.
Well, if I could jump in there, I want to come to the defense of our first responders. When you have multiple incidents going on simultaneously, sometimes they're not sharing the exact same information, and I can understand why there might be gaps in it. I don't begrudge or blame them for not being on the exact same page on all these fires at the exact same time when all these resources are delegated in so many different ways. So if anything, I'm going to give first responders a pass. Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. My concern was that the fire department that knew nothing about it was a mile away from the police. So I said, you guys might want to go talk to the police down there because it's a mile from the station. And they didn't know about it. So it's just a little concerning. And they said, and I was explaining to them where it was, they didn't know because we're getting so much help. Thank God. We're getting so much help. We have so many fabulous resources from everywhere. That's really great. The only problem with that is the people who are here are from other areas, Monterey, Gardenia, other areas, and they don't know our area. So if you start talking to them about street names and stuff, they don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they wouldn't know because I live not too far from Gardena. And if you put me up in Calabasas, I wouldn't know X Street from Y Street. I'm just being honest.
Exactly.
No, but that's great to know. My question to you before I let you go, Linda, you said you hadn't had power for a number of days. I don't know if it's safe for you to stay with no power. I know Southern California Edison has made it clear that it may be a day or two before they can get power restored, depending on where you are.
So as I said, I just received notification that power was back on.
Oh, it is back on. I'm sorry.
That's what the notification was. I've just driven to the area and it's completely black. So even though I received notification, it is not on as of yet. So maybe they're going to turn it on. I'm going to stick around for another half an hour and see if it actually does come back on. If not, then, and I asked other people that live in my area and they said they also received that notification. But it's completely black.
I do know that in our reporting that Southern California Edison said, yes, power may come on, but it may be intermittent depending on the high wind event, which is expected tonight, and all the other variables that they can't control.
Ours said the power has been restored, although it may go out again on Friday due to expected wind conditions.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I had better information.
So you never know. It's just a lot going on in California right now, and obviously my heart goes out to all those that have, lost things and are devastated by loved ones that are hurting and all of that. But it's just I'm doing the best that I can, trying to communicate from one place to the other and let other people know what's going on to kind of be a liaison when I can.
And we thank you and appreciate you for that, Linda. Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Thank you for doing your work, Joe. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Have a great night.
Be well. Let's talk to Maggie in Woodland Hills. Maggie, you sound like you might be right in the middle of what has been happening today. Are you safe?
All that.
Maggie, turn down your radio.
Maggie's on. I'm waiting.
Okay, Maggie, this is Mo. How are you?
Hi, dear. I love your show. My first question. George Norrie is not going to be any more of your station?
No, he's still on KFI. It's just that we're covering the fires. You might hear some of him a little bit later on tonight, but the fires are taking precedence right now.
So my second question, thank you so much for your help. My second question, I try to help. I plan it, make it really a lot of things from Westlake to area. I don't know how I get in that area. Where can I take?
Okay, it's hard for me to hear you with your radio up. Is there any way you can turn down your radio, please?
Oh, it's too far.
The fires, you might hear some of him a little bit later on tonight, but the fires are taking precedence.
So my second question, okay, dear, better?
Yes, a little bit better, Maggie. Okay, let's try with that second question again, please.
So my second question is, I tried to help this fire station. I just want to make sure how from Agoura Hills and Westlake, how we can take supply over there. Food, a lot of blanket, I make it ready, a lot of stuff that I can use it, my heart for these people. Where we have to go?
Okay.
It's far away for me. I just want to make sure, do you know any place, any church or school, something around Agoura Hills or Calabasas, Westlake?
I would recommend that you don't try to donate to the area, but you donate to one of the organizations which are accepting donations. And I was giving out some of that information earlier. Like if you want to donate to the Red Cross, you can donate money there. The United Way of Greater Los Angeles. And the reason I say that is because they're trying to keep people out of the impacted areas and the evacuated zones. And if you were trying to take clothes or food to the impacted areas, I can guarantee you they would turn you away. And and to your point, since it's a long drive away, I don't want you to drive all that way for no reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is. Only that I don't have any, like you mentioned, organization like church or synagogue or whatever.
Okay.
Because I buy up a blanket, everything brand new. Now it's so cold. Try to help people, make them warm, and the food. How I can take the food.
Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put you on hold, Maggie, and then at the end of this hour, I'm going to come talk to you directly and give you that information. So it'll be easier if I do it that way. Is that all right? Can I get you to hold for a moment?
Sure. Thank you so much for your help. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for calling in, Maggie, and I'll talk to you just a second off there. Sure. Let's talk to James real quick as we finish out this hour. James, how are you in the high desert?
Well, I'm okay, Mo. First of all, I just have two questions very quickly and strictly on character and nothing else for the first question.
Okay.
I would like to know how many fires has the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department, the DEI hire, how many fires has that person ever fought?
Okay, how about this?
Second question.
Okay, hold on, James.
Okay.
Hold on, James. That is not a legitimate question because you're calling to insult the chief when you say DEI hire.
I'm not. I'm just asking because after listening to all this stuff, like, for instance, like the water towers and stuff like that, it's just, well, that's above my pay grade, or that I don't know. I thought that was kind of odd because usually, the surrogates who handle that stuff would at least have her to be informed on that, and there was no answer to that question. And a lot of the water tanks down at Pacific Palisades were empty. Okay? So please, I'm not, in no way I'm trying to insult anybody. Strictly.
Wait. If you say DEI hire, you're insulting her. Let's be clear. I want to be absolutely clear.
Okay,
if you call her a DEI hire, that's an insult.
I'm strictly talking on the fact that the way she's been going about on these press conferences, I'm not getting many answers.
And that is a legitimate subject to address. Okay, but I want to be clear, when you call her a DEI...
That's all I'm saying. I'm not getting many answers. And my second question is, the insurance companies, they have their own meteorology departments for fire and indemnity. Most of them do. Mm-hmm. And my second question is, how far in advance did they know about this weather with the weather models that they knew that this was coming? Is why they canceled their insurance?
Well, I can't speak to conspiracy theories. I do know that if you have been impacted by these events and we have someone in the studio who is impacted by these events, you should talk to your insurance company sooner than later, because the insurance company's job is to make sure that they don't pay out on those policies. We saw this in Florida with Hurricane Helene, where people lost their houses and they ended the insurance before they even paid off on a lot of those claims. But I can't speak to any type of conspiracy theory about them knowing in advance, because I don't think we can predict the weather as of yet, not to this degree.
Well, I've just been in meteorology myself, and I've just seen some of the models where they try to, in the military they do the same thing, especially. But that's all I'm just saying. I'm not trying to say a conspiracy. If it comes off like that, my apologies. I have so much respect for you, sir, because I've listened to you ever since you first started at KFI.
I do appreciate that.
And I really do. And by the way, could you play the Los Angeles National Anthem sometime from Randy Newman of I Love L.A.? Because a lot of people would love to hear it, maybe on an outro or something, man, because I love L.A.
I think we could do that.
Out there who I love L.A. And never forget. And that's all I have to say, sir. And thank you for taking my call. My apologies if I came out the wrong way. It's just the communication, the way the chief was coming off with not the information that I thought that she would have on hand. That's why I felt so confused, and I wondered, I mean, I don't know her experience, so I don't know.
Well, put it this way.
I don't know her experience. I don't know.
I got to go in a second, but there are two conversations here. There's a conversation of whether LA Fire Chief Crowley is giving the requisite information given the circumstances of this disaster. I think that's a fair question to ask. If you couch it within the insult, and that's the word I'm going to use, that she's a DEI hire because those are the words that you use, that's something altogether different. If you want to question whether she gave the requisite answers and the requisite information, by all means. If you're going to put it within the suspicion of that she was unqualified to begin with because she's a woman, then I'm going to take issue with that, because I believe the LA County Fire Department knows better about their employees than any of us. I trust them.
Well, I'm just going off of what Adam Carolla said as well. That's why that's what he was questioning. So that's where my question came, because of what Mr. Carolla had said.
Well, all I know is Adam Carolla is not a specialist when it comes to fighting fires. He's a comedian.
I understand. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate him. May the Lord, whatever God you pray to, give the blessings to all the people who've been affected, Mo.
KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Fires are raging. KFI News is working. Stay safe. Stay informed.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.